Here at Grass Rat's Garage, Junior and I get overwhelmed with the rush of customers every year. It got so bad we actually had to look for help. And you might be surprised who walked through that door.
Hey, applying for that job there, fella? You gotta have a valid driver's license. You got a valid driver's license?
Roof, yes. Oh, I see your name is Sparkplug from Texas.
Alright, you got the job, but you gotta wear this uniform. And then I got a job for you right away. Go pick up a mower right now. I got one for you to pick up, okay? Here, put your uniform on.
Okay, Taryl.
You done in there, Sparkplug? Come on. We got work to do. Got that uniform on? Alright, here. What? You forgot the clipboard! You get that lawnmower picked up okay? Now you gotta take it easy on that truck. That's the only truck we got. Alright, you did a good job picking that up. Now there's your dinner. Alright, this here is the mower that I had my new employee, Sparkplug, pick up. And what the problem with this mower is I think it's got a blown head gasket. So we're gonna pull the head off and check the blown head gasket. And I'm gonna show you a couple things to look for to tell you that it does have a blown head gasket. And here's one of the things right here. After you've been running it, pull out the dipstick, see? There's smoke coming out of there. That's exhaust smoke. Another sign right here, the vent on the fuel pump, because this one's got a fuel pump, is pumping oil out. See all that oil down in there? So I'm going to go ahead and take off this cover. We're going to get down to the head, and I'm going to show you how to pull the head off and put a new head gasket on, and we're going to put it back together. Alright, take the fan off. Take the 4 screws on the cover and the 2 that hold the fuel pump if this engine has a fuel pump. Or your engine has a fuel pump. We'll pull off the cover. Now next we're going to take off the carburetor. Since this one's got a simple muffler, yeah, we're going to have to take the muffler off to get to the bolts behind here, the head bolts. So the muffler's got to come off in the carburetor and then the valve cover, and I'm going to take that off next. See, there's some more exhaust smoke coming out of there, coming out of the crankcase. That's telling me blown head gasket, red alert, blown head gasket. All right, I got the carburetor off, carburetor. Now, all I did was set it off to the side. You don't have to take it all the way off. And I took the muffler off, and I took the valve cover off, and then you got to pull these 8 bolts, 3, 6, 7, 8. And then the head will come off. And we're going to reveal the blown head gasket. And then get your push rods out of there. Oh, we're making a mess. And this thing is still hot. I'm going to pull this gasket off. Looky there. See? That's what it did. It's blowing compression from there into the valve compartment where the push rods go, and it's pushing that compression and exhaust into the crankcase. There's your blown head gasket. There's your dinner. Look at there. Look at it, really blown there. So depending on how blown the head gasket is going to determine how bad it's going to smoke and pump oil everywhere. Sometimes it pumps it into the air filter, pumping it out the fuel pump if it's got a fuel pump. But a way to tell is take the dipstick out. See, look at smoky smoke coming out. Cheech and Chong in there, buddy. I'm going to get a new head gasket. We're going to show you a couple of tricks cleaning up the head and what to look for. I'm going to tell you about the push rods. I'm going to put it back together, and there's your dinner. Okay, on this particular Briggs model, on the top of the valves, they have these little spacers here. So make sure you don't lose them. And then you're going to clean up the head, clean off the old gasket, clean up any carbon in there. I use a wire wheel on here. And then if you want, you can take the valves out. You got it apart, might as well do a valve job. But you're going to need one of these so you can get the valves out, clean them up. So you're going to need this tool to collapse it. If you don't have them tools, you may be able to just take the head to your local mower shop and have them do a valve job on it and get it back. But if you do, you have to have one of these to release the valves, clean them up, lap them in with lapping compound, clean off the gasket real good. I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and then we're going to reassemble that mower, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different push rods on there. All right, I got this valve tool on here, and I got it compressed. And then I just take a magnet and get those keepers out. See, there's two keepers. Then release the tool and take the valve out. It's pretty dirty. I'm going to clean that up and lap it in. I might as well. I got it apart. It's good to do. A good thing I did decide to do a valve job on this because the valve guide on the exhaust side moved on this head. This head's junk. I got to get another head. And I'm going to show you why. Usually from heat. See that sleeve in there? That sleeve's pressed in there. That valve guide. And it moved down about 3/16 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. Now here's the junk head I got out of junkyard. See, it's flush. So what happens is that guide comes out, this spring can't move like it's supposed to, and then it's going to bend the push rod. So if you got a motor that keeps bending the push rod, it's called valve guides coming out of the head. You need to get a new head. Luckily I had a good used head in the junkyard, and I'm going to go ahead and finish doing the valve job and lap it in. And then see on these valves, a lot of times you could take your valves to a good auto parts store that does boring and valve jobs, and they can put a new face on there for you for a couple of bucks. You don't have to buy a new valve. And then just take them back home and lap them in. You're going to have to get some lapping compound, and you're going to have a valve lapping tool with a suction cup. This is a good one. Then you just put a little bit of that compound on there. Stick it in there, and you just go back and forth. You don't spin it. Don't put it in a drill and spin it. You just go back and forth. Lap it in. Make sure you clean all that compound out real good and off the seat. And then put the head back together. And then put the new head gasket on and put it back together. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the valve job and get it all done spiffy-spiff. Okay, got the head all back together, valves all resurfaced, lapped back in, cleaned up, nice and clean. Good thing we took it apart, found that guide was missing. Now I want to talk about these push rods for a second. On the intake side they have an aluminum one, and on the exhaust side they have a steel one. And look what happens to that aluminum one. Look at here. And that's just from dirty oil, wearing it, right here on this plastic part. That's what did that going up and down. So you know what I do? I put two steel ones in. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Another thing, when you got this head off and you want to know if you need to do a valve job or not, if you could take your thumb and push as hard as you can and spin that valve with your thumb, that valve ain't sealing. It needs to come out and get cleaned up or resurfaced and lap back in. You don't want to have a problem. Don't do it halfway. Do the whole job. And then go to your parts store. On this particular model, there's all the information. Go to your parts store, get the right head gasket, valve cover gasket if you need it, intake gasket, exhaust gaskets. Get all your gaskets at one time. Maybe pick up that steel push rod while you're at it, and then put it all back together. All these overhead valve motors are the same. We're just showing you this model. They all work basically the same, whether it's a twin cylinder, single cylinder, Kroller, Kawasaki, Briggs, are all the same. So I've got the right gasket and stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all back together. Alright, now you need to set these at 4 thousandths. And to do that, you can watch my other video on how to set valves on an overhead valve engine. Okay, we got it all back together, got the valve set 4 thousandths, all new gaskets on there, everything put in place, all the guards and everything on. Now we're going to start it. How to replace head gasket on an overhead valve motor. And there's your dinner.